Hey everyone, hope you're all doing great. Welcome back to this Python learning. In this video, I'm going to discuss about, input functions. You all know that input functions are basically used to take input from the user. So main function that we're gonna use is input. So let's say, for example, you want to define your name. So usually how do we define? We just assign value to a variable like this and we try to print it, right? It's going to give me my name, which is Javita. So now the question is, what if you want to take name from different users? So if you want to take name from different users, then you have to change the name every time. Like you have to edit it, right? Like this is Jivita, you just need to change it to Zara, then next name, next name. So instead of doing like this, why can't we take input from user when we run a program? So that's why we have a function called as, input function. Input function by default takes a string. By default takes input string from user. Whatever you enter, it gonna convert into a string. Let's say, for example, I want to take names from users. What I'll do, I'll just use input. Name equals input. You can give a message like what they have to do it. So enter the name. Okay, and then I just want to print a name, and also I just want to check the type of it. Okay. See here, when I run a program, it is giving you one cell, right? You can see you got one pop-up wherein you can enter the names. It is asking the user, you're the user, right? It is asking you to enter the name. It comes only when you run the program. See, now I'll just give it like a Jivita. Enter, done. So and again, let's say I want to give a different name. Run a program again. I'll just give it like a Zara. Done. Let's say I want to give one more name. Let's say I want to give rhythm. Done. See, this is how you can input different names using input function. User can input the name. Now you might have a question. Do we need to input only the text? Right? What do you say? Do we need to input only the text? What if we input something else? Like what will happen? Okay, instead of name, let me input 100. You know what will happen? It will convert into a string. Whether you enter a number, float, decimal, or maybe Boolean, it has a capacity to convert into a string. See, I'm just entering Boolean. It gives me like, string. It's converting into a string. That is our input function. Now you might have a question how to take integer input from a user, right? In that case, you just need to use integer of an input. Okay, integer of an input is used to take integer input from user. Okay, yeah. How to use it? Let's say, for example, you want to find sum of two numbers. So I'm going to take integer of an input. Okay, I'll say enter first number. This is optional, okay? If you want, you can write, otherwise you can skip. You can leave it empty as well. So B is equal to integer of input, and let's say enter second number. Okay, great. Yeah. And then finally, it has to print. We don't know what is the value of A and B, right? So let's use a format. I'll use F, and I'll say sum of, let me create a curly braces for placeholder. Sum of A and B is, I'll just say like A plus B. Done. So it is asking me to enter a first number. Let me enter it like 1,000. Second number, let me give it like a 500. It is going to give me a statement like, sum of 1,000 and 500 is 1,500. This is how you take integer input from a user. Similarly, what if you want to take float input from user? One more important thing, with the same integer input, will it work if I enter a float? Actually, no. Because integer function doesn't have a capacity to hold a float values. It takes only integers. Please remember this. Okay, if you want to take input from user as a float integer, okay, instead of integer, you just have to take a float. If you want to take a float input, float in the sense like a decimal input from a user, in the place of integer, you just modify it to float. That's it. See? Integer takes only integer. In a float, I'm just giving float value. See? It's giving sum of A and B. And you might have a question, with a float, can we enter our integer numbers? Yes, because float has a capacity to hold, integer as well. So even when you input an integer values, it will convert that into a float and it will calculate it. So this is all about, taking float input from a user. Okay, great. Next. What if you want to take a Boolean input from user? Then you just need to use bool of input. Okay, let's say A is equal to, you just say bool of input, empty tuple, and then similarly, yeah, and I just want to print A. See, if I enter a true, it's going to take it like a Boolean. Okay, yeah. Now you might have a question like how we can take input users or input functions or like how we can take list, tuple, set, dictionaries from users. Any idea how to take input from users in the form of list, tuple, set, dictionary? So in that case, we just use a function called as an evaluate. Okay, evaluate is a function which is used to take input from user as list, tuple, set, and a dictionary. By default, what this evaluator is going to do, let me show you. Let's say, for example, I'll just say like evaluate of input. Okay. So if I run, I'll just give it like 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, sorry, first I have to print A, and also I just want to print type of A. Yes. So can you see, I'll just enter values like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not taken because you have to give elements in a comma separation format. Okay, if I give like 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4, so by default evaluate function always consider values in a tuple format. By default it will store whatever values you enter, whatever values being a user you give, everything will be put under tuple. Okay, but what if you want to take a list? Yes, you can take it, same code, just enter a list. Just say 1, 2, 3, 4 and close a bracket. See, it takes a list. So what if you want to take a set? Yeah, you can do that as well. See, same code. Let's say you want to take a tuple from it. You can pass a tuple 1, 2, 3, 4. See, done. Okay, similarly, what if you want to pass a dictionary? You can run a program, same program, and you can just pass a dictionary like this. Sorry. So name colon. Yeah. See, it has taken it like a dictionary. So this is how we take input from user with input function. If you want to take integers, you have to take integer of an input. For float, it should be float of input. For Boolean, it should be Boolean of input. And if you want to take list, tuple, set, dictionary, then you have to use evaluate. So now you might have a question. What if I enter integer value? You know what will happen if I enter just a 10? Yes, it takes it like an integer. If I enter just a float, 3.4, yes, it takes it like a float. Okay, what if I enter a string? Yes, it takes it like a string. Actually, no. Okay, so evaluate takes integer, it will take a float, but not really string because input is a function which is responsible for taking string, not an evaluate. Evaluate requires only numerical values or list, tuple, set, dictionaries. Okay, now if I give Jovita, it will take. See, it's taking. Understood. So this is all about, input functions, which helps you in taking input from user. Thank you. Happy learning.